9 mercenaries must work together to complete challenges and earn metal for a group pot. But one of them is the Mole, a traitor, hired by us to sabotage the group's efforts and to prevent as much metal from going into the pot as possible. Hi, this is your regular host Wimpzilla here, and I'm joined by our video editor Crafting. Sup? And our 3 special guests, Radiophone, King of
Hello.
Hearts,
Hi.
and Mr. Hippie.
Hi there.
And I would like to mention first, if you haven't heard, like we do use Skype to record this, and if you haven't heard this drop-off call, Mr. Hippie's having a random reason of disconnection problem, so I'm not gonna really edit out, so because it's a good way to keep everything in sync, or with video. So I was gonna say, y'all actually said you enjoyed this opening that we got.
Yep. I thought it was cool.
Very fancy.
It's all fancies.
Once again, shout out to Suyo for making us that intro.
Of course, and we hopefully we'll get him in on one of these, just for him to say, yeah, I did it.
So, as usual, we have with us our illuminated player for this episode, Radiophone.
I'm so ashamed.
I betrayed
Oh,
him.
They put me down that trap hole, and you know what they did? They put me in a closet for 3 months. They didn't feed me. They didn't give me any water. I had to sleep on concrete. They really didn't want me to know who the mole was.
Yeah,
Wow.
me and Wimp, we were like, serious.
We're very ashamed of you. You're gonna have to be put in the pit. No, not the pit.
No,
not the pit.
not the pit.
And I guess I don't think I mentioned this. I'll say it's hard to remember what I say on and off commentary in between when we record these. But if anyone's curious how I put this little thing together, I loaded up an old account I had, and because that's the only way you can trigger these to come up. And I just went through several empty Valve servers. I didn't want to choose one that had players on it because I knew I was going to be using some, the sound of it being pulled down. I know is going to be used. So I wanted hopefully clean audio. And I just recorded my screen, and I took several maps to eventually get one that worked, and a little bit of layer, editing with layers, and to get rid of like the buttons on the bottom, and I replaced the film. I think that was one. I think that was I think control point. I think, and I just basically put I was literally put a green square, but I could only put black or white, so I put white, and then I just used my green screen effect to put the video on top of that. So there you go, and a little bit of.
You did a good
Is that
job,
why you
man.
did the black and white
Oh,
show?
yeah.
Or,
What was that, King?
like beforehand, you had your first trailer was black and white. Is that why?
Well, I don't know. What I was going for is maybe, me and Wimp was trying to think what would be interesting, a transition to use for this, and it's like we could maybe do like a slot, a projector thing, and we was literally thinking about maybe actually, having it like on the studio map, because I could ask VM Kid to maybe make me a version of the map that has like a green or square on it, and but still call it the same map, so I could it would just replace it, and I could basically have it like that. But I don't know, it just seemed maybe too complicated, so I figured out what if I use the the message of the day, that the how-to video thing instead. That's the reason why it was the teasers, and I did that black and white film effect, is to give it like it's like basically like all the stuff, like the teaser and the how-to videos are kind of for the audience, like videos that we should, or old videos that you shouldn't really see, or in that vein. That's why I kind of gave it the effect.
Oh boy, and here we are, be about to let Dag down horribly. Funny enough, actually, this is something I kind of regret of
Wait for it. Don't.
Yeah.
Flash track.
But yeah, it's one of the things I regret is that I didn't ask Wimp what he meant by Pyro Shark and the Great White Shark, what the difference was. I had no idea he was talking about
He
Neon
wouldn't have clarified
Annihilators.
either.
Yeah, I
He
know
would
he
not
would
have
have. I know he
clarified.
would have, but I don't know why I never asked.
No,
but
he
I
wouldn't
didn't
have.
in
No.
there. Yeah.
I tried to get him to clarify my question here, and
Yeah, I was
He's like,
confused
"I don't
here as
know."
well.
Why don't you tell me?
I was actually going to walk down there for radiophone to air blast me. But I also didn't know I would have got a -1 if he failed me, so I would do the same thing either way.
But okay.
I did not want to lose. Remember, I had a goal of making it to episode 3 at the very least.
Oh, make it halfway-ish.
Yeah, at the very least.
And I do like to mention, this is basically, this is coming out the same episode, so try not to
Yeah, I know.
put
Don't
any
worry.
hints for, yeah, all right.
I'm a mole. They're actually gonna bring me back next episode.
Yeah. That's
It's this season's
Yeah, that
twist.
was a good twist.
Mm.
I was gonna say, King, do you not like how the paints aren't, working correctly? So your
Yeah, they
hat,
don't match.
your hat looks kind of weird. Or the
Alright, it
the
gets
max.
weirder later anyways.
Yeah. Oh,
So to talk a bit about the design of this custom map that Aryudon made for us,
oh yes.
the entire point of this challenge is that the heavy has to get to a very small shelf in the middle of this lake of lava. However, there was an issue where you see the saw blades, that was basically an open space beforehand. So it didn't make sense for the heavy to like rely on this pyro to blow him onto the shelf when he could just walk forward and land on it. So Aryudon had to figure out how to add saw blades to like add that threat to the map, but not make them like super loud and ruin our audio.
But I mean, honestly, if anyone's listening, the contestants, we're friends, we're part of the community. I mean, honestly, the saw blades, it's probably there just for show because I mean, honestly, if you just say just walk backwards, they'd do it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, I'd rather be like
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the person to walk because I did. Wait,
Hey, birds them.
Yeah.
try and get
love
that credit.
part.
I think it was Mijins and Blasios. I was able. I'm not surprised you went. Do you remember? They actually jumped early.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right here.
Like,
It was because he normally says, he said Wimp will say, "Okay, look at me and jump," but Mijins immediately just jumped, and he air blasted. He made the jump, but for the show, they decided to redo it, and he did it correctly. But I think I was able to. I'm surprised I was able to edit it around it, and I think on the second time you're not supposed to jump. I mean, jump and walk. You're supposed to just walk back. So even the second time, Mijins did a slight jump, and right when he landed, Gangster, because me and Gangster, I'm waiting for a camera change. Most of the time we're usually just spies. Mostly times we're on the map, but we're usually just spies with a cloak and dagger, just watching and whatnot. Well, basically we're on the left side, kind of the shot in a corner, but you can hear him say, "Don't jump." Like right,
Yeah.
it's right here. It's in this shot, like right there. I was luckily able to edit around that. So anyway,
Yeah, that was the only thing I actually felt fortunate about of not getting my question right was only because I honestly felt that even if I had the normal flamethrower, I might not have been able to properly air blast him over to the shelf.
true.
I wonder what would have happened if Radio let me be the pyro.
Oh, that reminds me real quick. Right now, there's a funny comment. Someone on YouTube did the time.
Yeah.
It was right when you two are talking and Radio. You said basically, "King, look at me, look at me."
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
It turned my brain off for a second.
Like, oh yeah. And also this. Oh, it's right after this Radio. Oh no.
yeah, there it is.
Whoop. Was that on purpose, or you just did?
Teleport.
Did you not notice what you doing?
What?
I mean,
Watch your flamethrower.
yeah. I doubt it. You know.
I'm like all ashamed here.
Yeah.
What was I doing with my flamethrower?
You'll see. It happens again in a second. Oh, one last thing I like to say is, I don't know. This isn't personal. It's just kind of funny. I mean, Jay Mizzle was hungover on this episode.
Oh wow.
Did anyone know that besides me? I mean, me, Wimp, and
I
probably
didn't.
no. Did anyone know? That was so funny.
Yeah, the guy was just out of it
Oh,
for the
God.
entire episode.
Because I've got to be honest, I'm not being mean. He does sound. I play with him enough. It sounds like he's kind of, you know, a drinker. But I think I've said it before. He says he does. That's how he just talks. But yeah, he was hungover on this episode.
Oh, geez, there was I think I was actually no, it was the first episode. The first episode, I was hungover and I was not I was not happy to do the filming that day, and especially since the confusion with the spies and everything made the episode go on for longer. I was not a happy camper, and it definitely hampered my performance in that challenge. I'm not a good sniper, anyways, but
How do you
I
pass a
can
quiz?
relate to that.
How do you pass a quiz being hungover?
Well, I mean,
That was after. So.
it was late, and it was later on too.
Clearly,
I mean,
you've never
eventually.
been to
Yes.
college.
You see your
Yeah.
flamethrower right now.
Oh god.
Oh man,
So hot.
It stays in that position for a while too.
God,
That's Majanta's fault. Come on now.
yes, clearly.
Clearly. It's what he wanted. It's what he told me.
You want a really big metal. Anyway, I am very surprised that only one group successfully did this, but you know,
Yeah.
working together.
Well, you got to think too. Only two of
Yay,
the groups
teamwork.
actually had the flamethrower, so that was that. Also, one other thing I wanted to mention at the end of that challenge, I wish you had kept in the mass suicide that we had on the blades and that afterwards. For like a good 5 minutes, we just kept jumping on the blades because they
Yeah.
were,
I do
That was
also
great.
say
That was the
I
first.
do record a little bit longer than Wimp does, so
so blooper reel. We can hope for a blooper reel.
Yeah, we got suicide in the first episode.
Victory suicide, of course. The only way to play.
of course. Doesn't no one have two buttons bound? You know, one for kill and one for explode. I do. Anyone else?
No, I just use kill.
Oh, no fun.
Yeah.
King, that's you.
Hey, yeah, I'm on TV.
Oh god.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Also, I was gonna ask about that, King. Did you just not know Liege before the show at all, or
not
it's just that
really.
much to okay? Because I was just wondering with the
I
name
pay
thing.
attention to him.
Yeah, it happened only a couple of times. I should have gave a heads up. Like, I'm gonna have to put one of your words in subtitles because it's kind of hard to, you know.
Yeah, I mumble a lot.
Well, don't say
You're
the
on
words.
the
You don't say a word a lot because if I was King, has like never talked. So this is the first thing, you know, project
Be
that.
sure to put text over every time I talk in this commentary.
Don't. Oh, that's more work for me. Anyone anyone who's listening, just go back and just click it back a couple seconds. I'm not putting subtitles in the commentary.
Now, I'd like to point out that during this challenge, the night before we started up this challenge, I think I got like 2 hours of sleep. So by the time we got to this, I was completely out of it. I think not as much as Hippie, I think, but my God.
Yeah, you'll see with during Dag's part, your paying attention is noticeable. Does everyone like the blood splats?
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, no, that was very good. But it's funny. What I was gonna say before is speaking of Liege, it was either Liege or Majans. They one of them kept complaining about how this was a melee fight against Gangster on his own server, and the lag issues with melee and everything else. And I mean,
I'm almost certain that was Lee. She was complaining about the melee.
Okay. Well, then in that case, it was just funny because it was like.
Well,
I mean,
to be
it's just
fair,
like it's true. I mean, he does have a point, but at the same time, like
It's a challenge.
It's a
to be
challenge,
fair,
yeah.
This is a completely serious game, and the only thing we're worried about is winning. You know, not having fun. So I think Leech has a point.
Hey,
I just wanted to stay in the game as long as possible.
yeah.
No
Also,
matter
one
what.
thing I noticed about this is that almost every other round, I'm switching back and forth between saying stock or the weaker weapon. And I didn't even realize I was doing that for a while, until I rewatched the episode earlier, and I guess what I was kind of thinking was, okay, well, we lost even with a stock, so let's switch back to try to make up for it with the weaker weapon. Oh no, we lost with the weaker weapon. Okay, let's get at least some medal with a stock weapon, and then kept bouncing back and forth in my mind about that.
Yeah, I think
I had
the
no
only people who
confidence.
didn't go back and forth were, I know Liege voted for the weaker weapon every time, and Dig voted for the stock weapon every time.
I
But
mostly
other
went
than
stock,
that, everyone was
unless
wishy-washy.
if they were skilled.
Oh, here's Radio's battle.
My 130 ping here.
The weird thing about the Pyro's melee swing is that it hits when the Pyro raises his axe and not when he brings it back down.
Huh.
Huh.
I need to
Stuff you
remember
learn.
that.
Nice shot of my butt there. Oh, there we go.
And stays there.
Oh my.
You know you love it. This is what you came here for, people.
Oh yeah.
And I think it was at
I-
this point I realized we weren't getting anywhere with this challenge. So sad.
Yeah.
How many times did we win? Like twice?
3 times.
One.
Oh,
3 in total.
think
but
Dag's the
before-
3 in
first one to
total.
win it.
Me,
yeah.
well, no, me, Dag, and then Majans?
Midgens.
Yeah. So,
Sadness.
and
Yeah.
it is fun.
Right.
Oh,
I was right there. Like I said, this is the short version, so right there I had to quickly it all adds up. Right there, that's when Radio in the original version, you went, what am I voting for?
MLG Dag.
Well, what was happening was I was taking notes during this episode.
Ah.
So I was taking notes on who voted for what. So when I was writing, you were talking to me, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. I have to play this game now.
yeah, I was trying to do the same thing,
Yeah, oh my
but
God.
eventually I gave up, and more was just like taking quick hand of just like who had to use what weapon, stock or weaker, and stuff like that, rather than exactly everybody's vote and opinions, because I wasn't able to keep up.
Before we get too far into selling the video, all I can say is I'm so glad they added hat dropping to the ragdolls, because seeing Gangster's hat slowly fall into frame was good.
That's
a nice touch.
cinematography.
So many angles.
Oh, I suck bad in this fight. I'm not much of a melee fighter.
This one made me really suspicious of you because it looked like you were just standing there the whole time.
I was just trying to get away from him. I was like scared. I was like, get away from me, gangsta.
Yep. And
then
coming up
again-
with this, coming up with this, it's funny that you mentioned before about binding your buttons for kill or suicide, because I'd completely forgotten which button I had that bound to, and so that's why instead of just standing there and trying to look up which button it was, because I just didn't know where to look, I ran back to the spawn. Hence why you get the giant sequence of everybody talking and Wimp explaining things, why I ran off to go get the amputator before coming back, which I'm glad you cut out there for the shorter version.
Of course.
Yeah, Mr. Hippie's hero moment.
Yes, honestly, one of my favorite parts, of this episode. I know, a little selfish, but
You're supposed to.
My favorite part of this
Yeah.
episode is when I was awesome.
Awesome.
I liked it when the camera was pointed at me.
Well, you know what? I can have some pride in the fact of being the only person given a weaker weapon to actually win that. So.
So true.
Yeah, that health regen didn't help at all.
No, it went too quickly. I mean, you don't see the whole fight there, but I think he might have missed 2 or 3 times, and then I came back, by hitting him, and that was about it. It was not that much of a difference, and I think he only landed one hit on me. So
Oh yeah, one thing I want to say about this challenge was I actually spent like almost all night trying to compare weapons and calculate everything.
Math.
Yeah, I believe
Wow.
every time you used an inferior weapon, it meant that you had to hit Gangster one more time than you had to hit him.
Because yeah, if do you remember this slightly conversation after the fact? I was like, why is Dag the, you know, why is Dag the only one that has a, you know, you vote for him? Because then he told me, and that's what you know, basically that, because Warrior Spirit's the only one that would allow one extra hit.
Yeah, that's why Gangsta had the superior weapon instead of Dag having an inferior weapon.
okay, that makes sense.
Because Dag's options were basically the gloves of running urgently, which did both less damage and caused many crits against him, which was just insane.
And then Fist of Steel, which would be too much.
Yeah, and then the Fist of Steel would have given him too much of a disadvantage as well.
I'm surprised Blazios didn't try to run around more and try to circle him to just get a random backstab.
Yeah.
And that.
Found that odd.
How
If I
suspicious?
recall correctly, he was actually kind of pissed off that we didn't give him the stock weapon.
Oh yeah, understandably, because I think he says like the big earner is like the worst spy knife of all time or something to that effect.
I guess we thought he would do MLG.
Mm.
That's all we want from you, Blazios. You had one job. God damn it.
Exactly.
Before we get into the elimination part, I did leave it as kind of, I guess I'll mention what the difference between this quote-unquote shorter version of these episodes are. I did leave a description on these just in case, but anyway, essentially what I'm cutting out is between 10, so far it's been 10 minutes each. If I said 10 to 15, depending, because some episodes I'll be able to cut more out. But boy, this one, it was still 10 minutes, but I was actually aiming for 15, but I literally could not, you know, without actually editing and moving audio around to make it fit, you know. But anyway, but stuff. Basically, what I cut out is some of y'all's talking and whatnot. I still try to keep some of the jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Talking
I do
in.
ramble.
Sick of your
I
yapping.
do ramble a lot in my
Yeah.
Well, I know
My
I told
interviews.
jokes that didn't make it.
And then of course the challenges themselves, I try to cut out. You know, try to speed it up a little bit, and then there's less interviews shown. And then instead of 2 green screened in interview shots, one from each challenge, I just use 1. And then of course right now during the quiz here, usually if Wimp says, yeah, was a mole heavier pyro, he usually says, is a mole heavier pyro, heavy or pyro as your choices. So that bit, you know, the choice, I snipped that part out, and you know it all adds up a
Yeah, I
little
saw
bit
it
over.
seen faster.
Yeah, it all adds up a little bit. So, and then last the credits roll, and I think instead of 45 seconds, it's 30 seconds long, and then there's no next time. So
Yeah. Also, funny thing with the quiz is that I actually was digging around and I still have the papers and stuff I wrote my notes on
Same
for
here.
the game. And I was marking, and I had all my quiz answers marked down. And so I wrote down, you know, if I was right or if I was wrong in this challenge. And I only got 3 right. So I'm very shocked I didn't get eliminated. I don't know how you did, you know, you must have gotten
Yeah,
2
Must have
very
got
or
like
odd.
2
or
something.
slower.
Also,
Yeah.
King walked off, so I lost a point.
all right, so we have
True.
about 2 minutes here before I guess basically. Radio, do you want to mention stuff that happened behind the scenes here, or does Wimp want to?
I don't know. I don't know. whether
It's up to
what-
Radio, so whatever he wants.
True.
What did you want to talk about?
That you know.
How-
That you
your
chose to
feelings?
leave.
After the episode
After I
ended?
lied? What are you talking about?
All right, go ahead, Wimp. And I think Ray. I mean, I think Ray. Are you fine? I mean, it's.
He
Wow.
probably doesn't know what we're talking about. Radio told me that he wanted to quit the show at episode 2, so That's why he was eliminated.
Oh,
Huh. You
I
did?
didn't know that.
Did you just forget?
I guess I did a favor for him.
Yeah, because I mean, it didn't. Yeah, unbeknownst to you, King, really didn't affect anything. But yeah, because I did the interviews for week 2 because Wimp had some real life stuff. I literally had the phrase car repair so many times and I had to go back and do recuts because I said it every single time. But anyway, Rio told me before, I think it was either at the start of the thing or during, he said that I'm screwing with everyone, including the host, because he was even messing with Wimp like he was not going to stay or not.
Which is confusing to me because I asked the radio phone the morning before the execution, this is your final chance, are you sure you want to be eliminated? And he said yes, so, yeah, that's why he was eliminated, because I thought he wanted to be gone.
So he didn't have the lowest score?
I didn't calculate the quiz scores this week, because radio wanted to quit the show, so.
Huh,
I
interesting.
didn't know that.
Wow. Well, then
I wonder who would have left.
I mean, I
It would have
think
been.
it might have been me, because I mean, the way I calculated my quiz, it was pretty low.
Well, looks like we're over. So
Bye.
Yeah, guess
Bye.
that's it. Bye.
Yep.
I guess I would like to thank. Well, if that was your hint, anyway. Okay, I guess I'll still do it. I'd like to thank Wimp for allowing me to slightly force him to do this. I'd like to thank Radio for joining.
Hey.
I'd like to thank Mr. Hippie for joining.
Well, it was a pleasure.
And last but not least, King of Heart.
Thank you.
See you for the next one.
Bye,
See ya.
everybody.
Bye-bye.